The 10th of May, 1940, 8 months after the beginning of the Second World War. Nazi Germany invades the Netherlands, and German bombers attack the military airfields and barracks around The Hague. In an attempt to influence public opinion, Hitler justifies the attack with a lie, claiming that England and France have been planning to attack Germany via the Netherlands and Belgium. The German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, uses paratroopers to capture tactical points and to assist in the advance of ground troops across the country. On the 15th of May 1940, the Netherlands surrender and sign a capitulation agreement. Soon after, the Nazis start to occupy the whole country and pass new anti-Jewish laws which are designed to exclude Jewish people from society and restrict their livelihood. The systematic deportations of Dutch Jews to death camps start in July 1942, and by the end of the war, more than 75% of the Jewish population in the Netherlands is wiped out. The driving force behind these deportations is the SS officer who, during the German occupation of the Netherlands, will become a symbol of Nazi oppression and terror. His name is Hans Albin Rauter. Johann Baptist Albin Rauter was born on the 4th of February 1895 in Klagenfurt, then part of Austria-Hungary. He was the second of 7 children, and his father held strong pro-German sentiments. After finishing high school in 1912, Rauter enrolled at the Graz University of Technology, pursuing a degree in engineering. However, his plans were interrupted when the First World War broke out on the 28th of July, 1914. He left his studies to volunteer for the Austro-Hungarian army, where he served both on the Italian and Balkan fronts. In 1915, Rauter suffered a serious injury from 2 machine gun shots to his thigh, leaving him with a 35% war disability. Despite his injuries, he voluntarily returned to the front, only to be injured again, this time by a shot to the shoulder. For his bravery, Rauter was awarded several military honors, including the prestigious Military Merit Cross, one of the highest awards for officers in the Austro-Hungarian military. The First World War ended on the 11th of November 1918. After the defeat in World War I, the Austro-Hungarian Empire dissolved, and Austria became a republic, facing significant political instability. Many Austrians were deeply dissatisfied with the outcome of the war and the harsh terms of the Treaty of Saint-Germain, which ceded parts of Austria to Czechoslovakia, Italy, and Romania. The treaty also prohibited Austria from forming any political or economic union with Germany without the League of Nations' approval, frustrating German nationalists who wanted Austria to unite with Germany. Economic struggles, high unemployment, and inflation further fueled the unrest. Many Austrians blamed the Allied powers and their own political leaders, while anti-Semitic sentiments grew, scapegoating Jews for the country's misery. In 1921, Rauter co-founded the anti-Semitic group Styrian Homeland Protection, where he held a leadership position. Its members wore the swastika and the colors black, white, and red. Their objectives were to fight against Marxism and bourgeois democracy, establish an authoritarian state, and pursue unification with a greater German state. Around this time, Rauter was introduced to Adolf Hitler, who was still in the beginning of his political career. In September 1931, Rauter took part in the Prima Putsch, a coup attempt led by Walter Prima, the leader of the Styrian Homeland Protection. The goal of the putsch was to overthrow Austria's democratic government and establish a dictatorship, with the ultimate aim of uniting Austria with Germany. However, the coup was a complete failure, and many of its participants were arrested and charged with high treason. On the 30th of January 1933, Adolf Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany by President Paul von Hindenburg. The same year, Rauter fled Austria for Germany and became a member of the SA, or the Sturmabteilung, which was the Nazi paramilitary force also known as the Stormtroopers or the Brown Shirts due to the color of their uniforms. In 1935, Rauter transferred from the SA to the SS and was personally recruited by Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS, to join his personal staff. 2 years later, Rauter married Else Lauter, who was 22 years his junior, and the marriage produced 5 children. The Second World War started on the 1st of September 1939, when Nazi Germany invaded Poland. On the 10th of May 1940, Hitler invaded the Netherlands, and that same month, Rauter was appointed General Commissioner for Security and Higher SS and Police Leader for the occupied Netherlands. He reported directly to the Nazi SS chief, Heinrich Himmler, and also to the Nazi governor of the Netherlands, Arthur Seyss-Inquart. During his reign of terror, Rauter was deeply committed to the deportation of Dutch Jews to concentration and extermination camps. On the 22nd and 23rd of February 1941, German forces raided the Jewish quarter in Amsterdam, arresting and deporting over 400 Jewish men to the Buchenwald and Mauthausen concentration camps. The response from the Dutch people was unique in Nazi-occupied Europe. They organized the February Strike, a two-day general strike that began on the 25th of February 1941. After the strike began, Rauter ordered the deployment of SS and other Nazi forces to violently crack down on demonstrators and intimidate the Dutch population. During the suppression, at least 9 people were killed, and many more were injured. Hundreds of strikers were arrested, and several leaders of the protest were either executed or sent to concentration camps. Despite the bravery of the Dutch people, the strike failed to stop the deportation of Jews, and the Nazi repression grew even harsher in the months that followed. The German authorities, along with collaborating Dutch authorities and civil services, segregated Jews from the general Dutch population and incarcerated 15,000 of them in German-administered forced labor camps. The Germans then ordered the concentration of Jews in Amsterdam and sent foreign and stateless Jews to Westerbork transit camp in the northeastern part of the country. Some of the remaining provincial Jews were sent to the Vught camp. The sign, "Forbidden for Jews," appeared on the doors and gates of cafes, swimming pools, sports fields, museums, zoos, libraries, theaters, markets, and many other public places. Jews had to hand over their valuables, and their businesses were confiscated. Regulations forcing Jews to wear a yellow Star of David on their clothing for identification were announced in the Netherlands on the 29th of April, 1942. Those caught without the badge after the 5th of May when the regulations took effect were arrested and detained for a 6-week period to serve at Mauthausen. In the Netherlands, everyone knew that this was a death sentence. Deportations of Jews from the Netherlands began in July 1942, as part of the Nazis' plan to systematically remove Jews from German-occupied territories. As the situation worsened, news of these deportations spread rapidly, even reaching Anne Frank, a young Jewish girl hiding with her family in the secret annex in Amsterdam. She captured her thoughts on the escalating horrors in her diary. She wrote, "Rauter, some German bigwig, recently gave a speech in which he said, 'All Jews must be out of the German-occupied territories before the 1st of July. The province of Utrecht will be cleansed of Jews between the 1st of April and the 1st of May, and the provinces of North and South Holland between the 1st of May and 1st of June.'" Anne also wrote, "These poor people are being shipped off to filthy slaughterhouses like a herd of sick and neglected cattle. But I'll say no more on the subject. My own thoughts give me nightmares." The last train left Westerbork for Auschwitz on the 3rd of September 1944. In it were Anne Frank, together with her sister Margot and their parents. During these 2 years, under Rauter's supervision, the Germans and their Dutch collaborators deported around 107,000 Jews from the Netherlands, mostly to Auschwitz and Sobibor, where they were murdered. Only 5,200 survived. In his position as police commander and highest-ranking SS leader in the German-occupied Netherlands, Rauter was responsible for these deportations. Rauter also had 300,000 Dutchmen deported to Germany for forced labor. These men were taken from their homes and workplaces to support the Nazi war machine in factories, construction, and agriculture under harsh conditions. The forced laborers endured long hours, inadequate food, and brutal treatment. Many faced physical abuse, and the lack of proper medical care led to widespread illness and death. Under Rauter's guidance, a special block was built for political prisoners, especially for resistance workers in the Scheveningen prison, located in The Hague. Many prisoners were held in indefinite detention, which meant they were imprisoned without knowing when or if they would be released. In total, 28,000 people were detained there over 4 years, with many being severely mistreated. Some were tried, and 738 men and 21 women died either in the prison or at the nearby execution site. Rauter also instigated a system of retaliation for assaults on Nazi officials and their Dutch collaborators. 1 German Nazi killed equaled 10 Dutch victims, and 1 Dutch collaborator killed equaled 3 Dutch victims. In 1944, these numbers sharply increased with a rise in resistance violence. Rauter was also responsible for a series of targeted assassinations and murders of anti-German Dutch citizens under the codename Operation Zilbertanne. After the illegal newspaper Trouw published an article in June 1944 revealing that the family of Rauter lives in a heavily guarded house at Ernstgasse Milan 23 in Arnhem, Rauter saw this as a call for an attack on his life. In response, he ordered the arrest of numerous Trouw employees. In August of the same year, 23 Trouw distributors were sentenced to death for their involvement in distributing the inflammatory pamphlet. 6 of them were executed on the 9th of August, and the remaining 17 were killed the following day. On the night of the 6th to 7th of March 1945, a group of 6 Dutch resistance fighters were on an assignment to capture a German truck so that they could steal food intended for the Germans. They chose the hamlet named Woosterhoeve because of its remote location. Dressed in German uniforms, the resistance group thought they could hear the truck approaching and went out onto the road to halt the vehicle. However, it turned out not to be a truck, but Rauter's car. A firefight erupted, and the resistance fighters shot the 3 people inside, Rauter, an SS officer, and the driver. They thought they had killed all 3 and ran off. However, Rauter feigned his death and survived. Later, a German patrol found him and took him to a German military hospital. He was seriously wounded, including facial injuries that left him with permanent scars. In retaliation, on the 8th of March 1945, 263 prisoners were executed in various locations across the Netherlands. A senseless act, as it was already clear by this time that the war for Germany was lost. When Rauter was arrested by British military police, he was still in the hospital. He was later handed over to the Dutch government by the British, and in April 1948 was tried by a special court in The Hague. During his post-war trial, he presented himself as someone who had merely followed orders, and claimed to have known nothing about the Holocaust. He rejected any complicity in the persecution of Jews, and, in passionate words, proclaimed that as a general, he would have torn the epaulets from his shoulder rather than participate in such mass murder. He said that for such a crime, he could only imagine one punishment: to be burnt alive at the stake. His cynical lies, however, did not help him escape justice. Hans Albin Rauter was 54 years old when, on the 25th of March 1949, he was executed by firing squad on the Waalsdorpervlakte, an execution site in the Scheveningen dunes that had also been used by Germans during the war. The command, "Fire," was given by Rauter himself, preempting the commander of the firing squad. After his execution, Rauter's body was buried in an unmarked grave at the General Cemetery in The Hague. There were no tears shed for Hans Albin Rauter. Thanks for watching the World History Channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss our next episodes. We thank you, and we'll see you next time on the channel.